Guys, welcome to My Guy Reviews review of the new Infinity Wars trailer. Marvel have been building to this, and this is how you build a cinematic universe. You just play out your cards slowly, and eventually you could bring them all together and bring all those fingers together and build to what is definitely gonna be the biggest comic book movie ever. I mean, if Avengers taught us anything, you slow build those characters, you give them their movies. Iron Man had his own movie, the Hulk had his own movie, he replaced him, fair enough. Cap had his own movie, Thor had his own movie, and we had another Iron Man movie. We got introduced to the characters individually, brought them together, and what do we have? We have $1 billion plus movie with a $200 million opening, something that DC can learn with. Just have a nice slow build. Yes, I want to see Batman fight Superman, who doesn't? But give them a chance to have their own movies. Who doesn't want to see the Justice League come together? Again, slow build that. Who doesn't want to see Steppenwolf come in and attack the Justice League members? Martian Manhunter, Lobo, and Darkseid, all these like incredible characters and depth that they have. Constantine, Dark Universe, they've got all this stuff. DC, slow build your universe, take your time. You finally did it when you had your standalone Wonder Woman movie, but then you went back to the drawing board and you made pretty much just a messy movies, with Suicide Squad. Put them all together, chuck it in, see what happens. The villain's not good enough, the story's not good, it's all over the place, it's just jumpy and choppy. Same with Batman vs Superman, similar with JLL. They need to do what Marvel are doing. Marvel built a universe slowly and they got to this point. Now this trailer looks amazing. Now this is a typical kind of Russo trailer more than it is a Whedon trailer. Now Whedon gave us the first two Avengers, and both were great action-packed superhero popcorn movies, but also really fun, and you could get that from the trailer. This is a Russo film. Russos, they did the same when they did Civil War, they did the same when they had Cap, Winter Soldier, maybe one of the best comic book movies of all time, because it's not a comic book, it's an SBN spy thriller, and they did that incredibly. And they've done a slow burn here from the trailer. We can't really see now. Looking at the trailer from start to finish, it seems like it jumps around a lot, but I will try and break down and tell you what I saw, kind of review what I did. Now it's great to see Vision and Scarlet Witch together, but Vision in the trailer starts off as a mortal man, or looks like a mortal man. Does that mean that the Mind Stone has been ripped out his forehead, and at the end of the film it's on the gauntlet? Now this is hard to tell, because it could be that Vision's got a new power that he can turn himself off being purple, maybe not being purple. But of course in the comic books, Vision and Scarlet Witch are together. They even have a child together, so interested to see how that kind of plays out. But a nice little kind of nod to see maybe he's human. It's a bit weird, but it kind of intrigued me a little bit more. But then again, it is Infinity Wars. We are going to get that stone out of his head at some point. We need to see the gauntlet fully lit up. We need to see Thanos use it with all its powers, because this is what it's been building to. We kind of get a nod when each one of the characters say that kind of monologue, started off by Nick Fury. It goes on to Iron Man. Here, Thor's got a bit in there, and Natasha kind of finishes it off. Then we see the typical kind of Marvel. But what's interesting in all of that, the shot of Banner, behind him is Iron Man outfit, and it's the Iron Man that we see later on in the trailer, but without its arm. It's missing its arm, because the arm is on the floor. So a battle of some sort has happened, and not the Hulk busted that, but that Iron Man suit has had his arm ripped off of it. Interesting to see that shot there. But there's also the kind of the nod that Natasha kind of smiles. Now before the trailer kind of really gets into it, and then we get all of the characters come up and a little monologue as to who's who. There's two massive kind of notable absentees from the trailer. That is, Scott Lang is not in the trailer yet, but he's so small he could be anywhere. Hawkeye's not in the trailer yet. This is just the first kind of teaser trailer to what could potentially be the big reveal coming out next year. Massive trailer, 2-3 minutes long maybe, who knows, kind of like padding it out with that. Now the way I see in the trailer, it all seems to stem from New York. My boy Tom, Peter Parker is on that bus, and his Spidey senses go off, and he senses something, and it's a portal opening to another world. And the first one to the scene is Spidey. And it looks like at this point, he's the only one who's clocked onto it, because he's the one who engages in the threat, and he's the one who Thanos clobbers to the ground. Now, I don't expect to see Spidey die in this film. Spidey's got huge amount of strength. Spidey's got a lot of resilience. So Spidey will get a beating. Thanos will knock him around a little. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. There's a lovely look of Loki with one of the Infinity Stones in his hand, and he's kind of offering it, and then we see Thanos come in. Those two are completely different screens, but it'd be interesting to see if those two somehow link, because he has to get that stone, and that's one that we see later on in the gauntlet. So it'd be interesting to see if somehow him and Loki get into battle. He beats Loki hands it over, but Thanos still kills him, maybe. Who knows? At this stage we're speculating, but that's my theory. He's still got to go to the Nova Court, because he's got that stone on his gauntlet, so he's got to go there. He's got to cause some destruction, and he's going to get that stone. So there, obviously, with the Nova Court destroyed, that would lead right to the very end of the trailer, but we'll come back to that in a bit. So there's that bit where he comes out. Now he looks a bit purpley. I mean, maybe the CGI and everything's not quite 100% yet. I'm okay with Thanos. I don't need him to look any more menacing, any better than that. I'm okay with what I saw on screen. Most importantly, his voice, Mr. Brolin, it's incredible, and he has that menacing look about it. Plus, he's huge. When he's towering above our good friend Peter Parker, he looks massive. There's he beats him, there's a bit later on where we see Doctor Strange, and we see the two of them kind of looking at each other, and they're fighting. Could that mean that the Eye of Agamotto has been stolen? The Sorcerer Supreme has kind of been outwitted, because that's not shown on his arm yet. So the green gemstone is still out there, so the Eye of Agamotto is still available from what I can tell. And then there's a great bit when they're inside the Sanctum, and then there's Bruce Banner there, and there's Iron Man there, and there's Doctor Strange. We've seen them all come together, and there's been a big battle. There's been something that's happened there, because it doesn't look like it should. And then there's a moment where Iron Man is actually walking, and it seems like, as in Tony Stark is walking, it seems that everyone else is paused. So that'd be interesting to see if that's like some sort of dream sequence, or has Doctor Strange done something to allow Tony Stark to kind of move forward? Because Tony's the man, Robert Downey Jr., big paycheck, so the movie could be more Iron Man centric than kind of the comic books are. Then there's the amazing bit where T'Challa is giving his monologue, and he says, "Get this man a shield." Now T'Challa obviously has got the most amount of vibranium. Obviously he can build that shield out of scratch if he wants. He can do it with bare hands. He swims in adamantium. It's not adamantium, is it? Vibranium. And he could just hand it over to him, and we see him come out the shadows with a beautiful beard, man, that handsome fella Chris coming out, and he looks like but that clip I imagine will be different. And then there's obviously Scarlet Witch. She's got a nice little smile on her face because he knows Cap's there. Maybe that's again different. Iron Man then comes in with the big new Iron Man suit, and again I think that's a little different clip. They're not quite all the same. There's a massive battle it almost reminds me of a bit like Lord of the Rings kind of battle-esque, which I was a bit disappointed to see. I want to see a big battle, yes. I want to see more Chitauri aliens. I want to see technology. I want to see Thanos bring it. But of course, what we see Wakanda come to the party, and T'Challa is there. T'Challa has defrosted Bucky as well. So this could happen in the very next incredibly looking Black Panther, which Wakanda has never looked that good before, but it looks amazing. And of course, in that, T'Challa, the prince, he's going to take his throne. He's going to become the king. He's Black Panther. As soon as that finished, we're going to get into Infinity Wars. So does that mean someone actually trips over the freezer and starts to defrost Bucky? Has Bucky been defrosted on purpose in Black Panther, or is it for this? Now this is hard to tell at this point. But during the trailer we don't see much of Thor, but Thor appears right at the very end, and he turns around and he says, who are you guys? And that's the Guardians, and the Guardians are here. Guardians of the Galaxy are here. Thor's here. Of course, Thor is the intergalactical link between our realm, Asgard, and other realms, and obviously he would have met the Guardians at some point in his travels without knowing it. So this is the kind of the link that's going to bring the Guardians and that into it. And at some point we got to talk about multiverse, but that won't happen till Scott Lang turns up, because he's the one who's going to have the key to all that. So interesting to see what's going to take place, where Thanos, we've seen a few bits of him. He puts on the gauntlet, we see the two stones, and he punches Iron Man, and he looks happy and he looks menacing. His army of kind of aliens that actually look a bit like Ridley Scott's original Aliens, or slash ID4's Independence Day 4 aliens, if they've had a child together. It's the kind of aliens they look like. But we'll kind of get a better look in May. But Russo brothers have not let us down so far. They've just produced incredible, amazing movies, and one of the best kind of action sequences of all time in cinematic history, which is the airport scene in Civil War. So we're in safe hands. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of little kind of layers to this trailer, so it'll be interesting to see as time goes on, and watch it a couple more times to try and work out what's going on and where those bits are. Of course, Cap's in hiding. Of course, Scarlet Witch and Vision are together. Of course, there's Falcon with his guns blazing. There's a bit at the end where it looks like Iron Man, but it looks a bit darker. Could it be the Iron Patriot at that point? It's hard to tell. It's very kind of early doors, but it could be Iron Patriot. It could be Iron Man's already elsewhere. He's not in the suit much. He's walking around just being Tony. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of done. How does Spider-Man kind of react, and how does he kind of play into it as well? So tell me what you think. Hit me up with your likes, your comments. The most important thing is this just looks epic, and this is what JLA and DC can learn from. Slow build to the big bad, and it could be one of the highest grossing movies of all time.